1971, 25-year-old Connie Chung was in the right place at the right time. She'd been a local news reporter in Washington for about a year when the networks came under pressure to hire more women and minorities. CBS hired Connie, along with Sylvia Chase, the late Michelle Clark, and me, Leslie Stahl. We were among the first women to break through the network news gender barrier.
I'm Chinese, Michelle was black, Leslie was a nice Jewish girl with blonde hair, and Sylvia Chase was a shiksa with blonde hair. So they had every permutation and combination, and they were all set.
But the men in the business didn't exactly welcome us with champagne and flowers. Television newsrooms had been a male domain with a macho image. Now attitudes had to change.
It was sort of a shock. Women weren't in our business, though they did the women's pages and all of that, but to be a hard news reporter in the front ranks with the rest of us was something new. Well, we had to adapt, and we did adapt. I mean, it was adapt or perish. Connie made that clear.
ABC's Sam Donaldson had been covering Capitol Hill for 4 years when he and Connie first crossed paths.
I had a certain reputation for being pushy, but I mean, Connie came on like a tornado. She wasn't about to take a back seat to me or anybody else, and she was always up front. She was always scratching. She was not deferring, and that's perfect. I mean, that's what makes her such a great reporter. Reporters who sit at the back of the room waiting to be called on are never called on.
Was it clear to you that conservative opposition to you was so great that you would be a liability to the president?
I was really so green, and it was so scary to be covering major national news. I tell you, I really didn't know what I was doing, and they gave us a hard time. The producers and everybody, they really gave the kids a hard time. My copy was ripped apart, you know. You can't write. I mean, this is terrible. You know, that's not a good question or whatever. I mean, there was a serious hazing period.
CBS was known as the Tiffany Network back then, largely because of its world-class news division. Legendary anchorman Walter Cronkite had to be convinced that Connie possessed as much substance as style.
Connie Chung reports.
A spokesman said the Secret Service is fully satisfied with the...
My first impression was that we had probably reached out to try to satisfy the non-discrimination rules of the day, and maybe we reached a little too far, that there probably were more experienced newswomen working on newspapers around who weren't as attractive personally as certainly Connie was. I was disabused of that by her enthusiasm. The first thing that impressed me about Connie when she came to work for us was this dogged determination. When we sent her on the first stakeout to try to get an interview with a news personality of the moment, we couldn't call her off. We kept saying, you don't have to stay there overnight. But she was determined. It was the first impression I had that here was a really serious young woman.
Connie covered the top political stories of the 1970s. The 1972 presidential campaign of Democrat George McGovern, the vice presidency of New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller, and the biggest story of the decade, Watergate, the story that eventually brought down a president.
Covering Watergate, I really learned how to be a great reporter. How many sources you need to confirm your story, how much you need to check, how much balance, how much credibility does this person have over that person who's telling you something different, how to doggedly pursue something.
Can we stop and chat with you for just a moment?
No, I have no comment.
All that hazing that all of us got in those early days at CBS was worth it, because I think I learned from the best people.